Debbie, thank you so much for joining us and being one of our faces of cancer. You have a unique perspective on your cancer journey because not only were you diagnosed in March of 2020, but so was COVID. COVID was coming around at that point, and our country was shutting down. So there was a lot of uncertainty, not just in COVID, but also in your cancer journey.
I was diagnosed with the breast cancer we found out on March 11th of 2020. So, and just 3 years prior to that, in June, my brother had passed away from a different type of cancer. So it really hit home for us that, this was happening again. He had 3 different cancers. He actually started with kidney cancer, and then he had leukemia, and then he ended up having what they classified as lung cancer. Telling my boys was extremely hard, and then also telling my father, who had, lost his son.
So Debbie, can you tell us a little bit about your story, how you came to find out that you had cancer?
I had no symptoms whatsoever. So it was caught with a yearly mammogram. It just showed up as a spot in there. And then they saw a couple other spots and said, maybe we should check into this. So did the ultrasound and realized, okay, we need to biopsy. I was diagnosed very early stages of cancer. So the prognosis was never really grim. It was just a matter of how much treatment and what types of treatment I would be going through. Things were starting to close down, but yet move really fast regarding cancer due to COVID.
So tell us a little bit about your treatment plan. You had said that you were diagnosed and things were happening fast. Can you expand a little bit on that?
They had me come in for a biopsy. And so my husband, who went with me to every appointment, was with me. And we went in for the biopsy appointment, and we were the only ones in the building. And it was just kind of surreal. And we were sitting there waiting for me to be called in. And you could hear the office receptionists and the office gals calling people, canceling appointments because COVID was hitting and they were closing everything down. And so when I went in to do my biopsy, one of the staff in there told me there were only 2 of us they were seeing that day. The rest had all been canceled. And she told me that it would be best if I could just take the earliest appointments I could get whenever they told me I could get one, so I could keep moving and be fast-tracked through, because they were seeing that things were starting to close down. The night before surgery, there was no guarantee I'd have surgery. Dr. Faddis had actually gone to bat for us cancer patients and said, these aren't elective surgeries. These patients need to get in and need to get through and on to their next part of treatment. I had surgery on April 23rd to remove the cancer. And they removed 4 spots of cancer and 2 lymph nodes. And all 4 spots were positive for cancer, and one of my lymph nodes had a cancerous tumor in it as well. So I started chemotherapy, and I had 4 sessions of chemotherapy, 21 days apart, and got through chemo, lost my hair. That was pretty tragic for me. It's kind of our crowning glory. You think about it, and when it's gone, it's like, oh boy, I look so different. So you put a wig on and a mask on, and I felt like I was in the witness protection program. Nobody knew who I was. 2 to 3 week break again, and then I started with radiation. So I went in for radiation for 5.5 weeks, Monday through Friday. And my appointments were about a half hour. The process they were doing is new. So you actually put gear in your mouth that's like a scuba diver would wear. And you wear these goggles, and they teach you how to breathe. And you breathe and hold your breath. You take in a big breath and hold it to raise your chest wall cavity away from your organs. so it doesn't affect your organs as much. So I had radiation on both my left and my right side, and then up through this area right up in here and on my back, on my shoulder blade.
Could you share with us a little bit about your support?
My prayer group ladies were just phenomenal. You know, they knew exactly when I was going in and what times. And, you know, my husband went with me to every chemo except the last one. He had something that day he couldn't get away from. So one of my nieces came up and went with me. And that was just a blessing. The oncology, the nurses in the infusion area were phenomenal. Actually, as I was getting ready to lose my hair, I went in and had it shaved off. My boys went with me, and I decided to be proactive and have it shaved off before it all fell out. I went in for my wig fitting, and I was talking with Peggy Burris about it, you know, that I had, you know, gone in to get my wig and stuff. And she said, oh, that's one of the things that Seroptimus helps to provide for the cancer patients are the wigs. And so I was like, oh, well, that's just such a blessing. They have like a little beauty shop kind of set up for you, and you go in, and the gal was really nice and brought out, I think she brought out 4 or 5 wigs for me to choose from, and, you know, tried them on me and all that. It makes you feel a little bit more like yourself when you already don't.
I'd love to hear where you're at in your journey right now.
About a month ago, I finally got to hear those words, remission. You know, everybody waits to hear those because my cancer was a hormone-based cancer. And so I take a long-term medication for that. I'm starting to feel more myself. I have my real hair back. I did a 30-day challenge through the American Red Cross for cancer survivors to walk a mile a day. Throughout treatment, I just really had an inner peace that I wasn't walking alone. I knew there were women who'd gone before me and men who'd gone before me. And I knew that God was right there with me every step. And I felt that. And I remained joyful throughout it. And the people I met were just incredible in such extreme circumstances, you know, because they were scared of COVID. Everybody was scared of COVID. They didn't know what was going on, but yet here I was going through cancer. And so they were just kind, compassionate, and funny, just some really funny people. So I chose faith over fear, just kind of as things to remember for myself, to get me through. And that worked for me, and I really felt blessed.
I appreciate you sharing with us, and thank you very much. And I hope that people can draw some inspiration from your experience. Thank you.